I'm an executive career coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster by uncovering and communicating your superpower to find great opportunities fast. Yes, that's me. And today is, Craig is already in the stream. That's great. Today is Career Happy Hour. It's 3:00 p.m. Pacific time. And every week, every Friday, I've made a personal commitment, a promise to you to be here in one way, shape, or form, either live or I can also record things. So welcome. There is a link in the description here. If you want, you can come on live and receive some coaching. So I appreciate that. Before we get started today, if you could look at the screen that you're on and click the share button. I'm here. It's free, and I want more people to engage with this free service because I like to see people getting support and getting results and getting back to work. This is a community. So welcome. It's good to see all of you. If you want to join, I will get the I'll get the link over into the chat here, folks. Hopefully you can see me. Let me know based on the platform that you're on, whether or not you can hear me. Let me silence this, mute this tab. There we go. Welcome. Good to see you. If you do decide to join live, there is a link in the chat, not only on LinkedIn, but on all the other channels that I'm broadcasting to, including Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope. So I'm on many different platforms, and Restream is the service that I'm on right now. So it's really nice to be able to hang out. So I see here now, there's interesting when someone enters the room from the back end, I get to chat with them privately. So that's the good. Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see how this private chat works. Craig, I'd be interested to see what you see on your side and if that's working for you. There's a private chat link down below. I was actually contacted, interestingly enough, by LinkedIn themselves today. Actually, it was yesterday. Let me get to what it says on this particular email that they sent me from their editors. Now, whether you know it or not, LinkedIn, this platform that we're all on, most of us that are joining today's Career Happy Hour, LinkedIn has their own editorial staff. Like many of the social networks, they're curating news and presenting you data and information and support as job seekers. And I appreciate that. And I hope you do too. They're just not curating, as they would call it, other people's stuff. There is some of that going on, but not all. So let me read for you, if I can, this thing that I got, editors, no reply. Is it no reply? Let's see what it says. Okay. So here's what it says. Topic, Andrew. How can job seekers stay motivated? Hi, my name is Andrew Seaman. Interesting, has the same name as me. I'm an editor at LinkedIn News. I often reach out to people who can offer informed perspectives on current events related to job searches and careers. The pandemic began shaking the foundations of the global economy more than 6 months ago. Many job seekers are likely losing some of their motivation now that they've been out of work for most of that time. How do you suggest job seekers stay motivated during a prolonged search? How can they regain their motivation? What are some ways job seekers can withstand the obstacle and challenges of a job search? I thought this was a great topic. It said here, please leave a comment on this link using the hashtag #GetHired, and we might use it in a future article. So I thought that was great. So I made a reply there, and unfortunately, I didn't save the reply that I put together. But I think this is a topic that I'd like to take as a challenge and see if we can, as a community, tackle this question. How would we suggest job seekers stay motivated during a prolonged search? And so I had a number of things that came into mind when I heard that question. Because you could go with the platitudes, right? Oh, hang in there. Your next opportunity is right around the corner. All the woo stuff, wooing others over, or self-improvement questions and answers. And, I started to think about it more pragmatically and instead of more, how would you say it, the soft approach. Hi, good to see you, Terry. I'm Etha. Excellent, good to have you. So let me, this is kind of moving by and it's kind of distracting, so I apologize. I have the stream going and I need to be inside of LinkedIn for the chat feature, and that can be rather distracting. So let me see if I can turn off the volume here and hit play again. Hang on. There we go. All right. Good to have you. Looks like Terry might be here as well. We might have another roundtable discussion about this topic. So my first intuition was what would be the number one piece of advice that I would give? And I gave I think I listed 5 things, and I wanted to start with the first one. And that was related to belief. A lot of what we experience when we're in a prolonged search is we start doubting that we have any value in the marketplace. And I think the perspective we need to start from is an assumption that we have value and there's a place for us. We have value, there's a place for us. And if we don't believe we have value and we don't have a place for ourselves, then it's really hard for us to move forward and stay engaged and stay resilient in a process. And once we've identified that we have a place and we have value, then we can go to the work of job search. And then the second thing I mentioned is sharpening the saw. We have a podcast. It's called Job Seekers Radio. If you haven't taken in that podcast, it actually is from the perspective of this exact question, because both Scott and I were in prolonged job searches, and we share a lot of our perspectives on how to stay engaged, what activities to take advantage of. And I would encourage all of you, if you haven't yet taken a listen, check out some of those episodes of Job Seekers Radio. And I think you will find a lot of value there. So the first one is, know you have value and there's a place for you. The second one is sharpen your saw, add a skill, listen to podcasts, fill your brain with positive things, because there's enough negativity in the world, and in a job search, you don't need to be reminded of those things. Let's instead stand at the gateway of our mind and fill it with something a little more productive. So whatever that is for you, it's absolutely within your control to feed your brain that way. Now, so those were the top 2 things. The third one is go after somebody who's got a pulse. Often we're in this place and we're vulnerable and we do the thing that we think we should be doing, and that is making applications. So if that's you, I understand. Not all of us are, how should we say it? Not all of us are extreme extroverts and we can go talk and have a conversation with anybody. But some of us are certainly capable of having a conversation with a person. And that's what I would advocate. I would advocate, if you can, prioritize the activity of meeting people. When I was in prolonged searches back in the day after September 11th, that was a prolonged search for me. I ended up taking a survival job. And one of the things that really kept me engaged in a process and finding myself, and the belief of where I fit in the marketplace was the people I connected with, the relationships I built. And there's really a lot of value, folks, in having, how would you call it, a circle of people going through a shared experience. That's why I do this every Friday. I want you to have a group of people having a shared experience that can support each other. And if that's you, you're in the right place. In fact, if this is your first time here, this is a free service. You should let other people know about it, okay? Go down to the little share button on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're at and say, hey, we're here. It's Friday, 3:00 p.m. Pacific time. It's career happy hour. We're just going to dive right into it, okay? So what is that? Believe there's a place for you and that you have value. Sharpen your saw. Add some skills into the database, right? That's why a lot of people in career transition leverage education, recognizing they don't have the skills to find work. They have the skills to do their work. It's 2 different things. It's a skill set that needs to be learned. And then the third thing is talk to people who have a pulse. And I jotted down a couple others, and I can't really dive into what those are now. But, and so the second question in the list of things from LinkedIn was, how can you regain your motivation if you've lost it? What happens when you've lost that love and feeling? It's the same advice. it's so funny how, when you see somebody on LinkedIn or social media and you're like, wow, I remember that guy from way back when. He really had an influence on me. And then you just keep going down your scroll, right? You just scroll, you just go right by. When you see somebody and there's something there, it's an opportunity for you to reach out and have a conversation, take that to the next level. And I was reminded even today, once again, that I'm not immune to any of these feelings or these situations because I scroll right by too. And some of that is taking a look and saying, okay, this person had an impact on me. I'm going to call and just say, you know what? There's a pandemic. There's fires out there. Are you okay? It's not complicated. Or, hey, good job. Hey, this is what I appreciate about you. And just giving them some kudos. And some of the leaders I was talking to today in one of the companies I'm affiliated with, we had a really good conversation about, man, these things are universal. There's nobody insulated from the same feelings of vulnerability. They may not have access to people, but even me inside a company I might be associated with, it's still challenging inside our own companies to actually have conversations right now. So the good news is for you as somebody on the outside is you're on equal footing with everybody else, including those that you may think have an inside track because they're inside the company. Well, guess what? Inside company is in a house. It's in a home office. Anyway, I could go on and on. But if you have some questions, I'd love to hear your questions in the chat. Looks like we have a group of people here in the waiting room, so to speak, and we might take each of these folks one at a time, give them an opportunity to come on. But if you have, glad to be here. Good to have you guys. So if you're in the waiting room, do you see the private chat? I think there's this is all new to me. This technology is advancing faster than I can, and I'm pretty good with technology. So, but what questions do you have so I can be prepared? And just know that you need to mute your LinkedIn streaming session so we don't get any feedback or echo, okay? Good to see you, Chelsea. Good to have you. Excellent. Well, it looks like, you know what? Maybe we'll just hop in and answer some questions here. Hopefully, we have folks that have questions to be answered. Let's start with Craig. Craig, let's see if we can get Craig on the line here. Craig, can you hear me?
I can.
You hear me now. Good.
Oh, let me get him on the...
Yeah, why don't you get centered there? Sorry about that.
I'm not able to access the chat feature on my laptop for whatever reason. I dialed in through LinkedIn, so I don't know why I can't do it, but glad you put me on the screen. One of the questions I have is, I've been a professional for many years. I have sales experience, I have marketing experience, I have consumer electronics and audio experience, so I have multiple passions. I guess the challenge is, when you have multiple passions, I was talking to someone else, they said you really kind of need to focus on what it is you want to do before you start job searching, right? So in any organization, I could be part of the marketing team or I could be part of the sales team. Do I really need to focus on one or the other, or do I apply for positions in both marketing and sales within a particular organization if there's job opportunities available for both?
Right. And that's a common question we get a lot. So there's a couple things that I would ask you there. One, do you think your capabilities, so let me put it this way. Do you think there's, you said you have multiple passions. What are the consistencies among all the passions that you have?
Utilizing my, communication skills, my interpersonal skills, and my presentation skills to present whatever that product or service is to a group or an individual that is interested in learning about whatever that is that I have in my portfolio. Okay.
And so if that's the passion or the capability you want to focus on, what is the wrapper that goes around that, right? That could be marketing, that could be sales, right? So we need to separate in a lot of ways our capabilities from our market planning, if you will.
Okay.
Maybe that's something that's a little, or sales territory planning. Right, I have a set of strengths and benefits and drivers for sales, etc. Right, they're all over here, and then I have a target market, a company, a role, etc. Right, okay. So often we get those things muddled because people are trying to place us in a box. Not that that's wrong. I mean, do you feel that some way when you're going to people and they're trying to place you in a box, see where you fit? What is it you really want to do?
Well, I haven't found that yet, but I was speaking to a career counselor, and they really kind of stated that you really need to determine what you want to do, because that can be confusing for the interviewer that you're communicating with, right? So if you get to the next level, if you get past the automated resume tool and you actually get a phone call, being sure that you're presenting yourself as focused specifically for the position at hand. So I can do that. That's not a problem, but again...
Right, and that's good advice. I would take that a step further and say, you know, at some point you have to stand on a brand. And whatever that is, whether it's a sales or marketing role or automated system or direct access through networking or whatever, stand for something. And that stand for something is, hey, I love communicating, you know, passionately about persuasive influence, right? I'm a persuasive influencer, right? So now I have a brand called Persuasive Influencer, and people are saying, wow, that's interesting. What is that? You know what I mean? And now I get to fill in the blanks. Well, I do this, I do this. Yes, marketing's in there, sales is in there. I've got all these tools to execute that philosophy, right?
Did you just coin that term, or should we patent that while we're on the phone right now?
Go right, and you can have it. It's free. It's free service. I don't take any royalties, not yet. If you want to send me royalties, I won't say no. But
all right.
No, so I think often, you know, the common challenge that a lot of our candidates have, a lot of people I work with, is really separating what you're good at from what you want to do next. Okay. And what you want to do next is a plan, right? Here's the 20, 30, 40 companies I want to work for. Here's the skills I want to use. Here's the titles that align with that. And here it is, career counselor. Here's my plan. Oh, okay. I see where you're going. And here's the companies and the people I should introduce you to make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like what Terry said last week. He asked me on this call, what was my superpower? So I think we all need to identify what our skill set is and what is our superpower.
Yeah.
And utilize that as a focus point of what we can bring to the table.
Of everything else.
Right.
And then packaging that in a way where it's a little bit alluring, right? So that you can say, okay, if you're going to demonstrate to somebody that your passion is persuasive influencer, then shouldn't you demonstrate persuasive influence with the person you're in front of?
Absolutely.
And so that's what interview is. So is that helpful?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Does that kind of clarify things for you on your question, Craig?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. And so what title would you most love to have out of all the ones that you've looked at?
Well, that's a good question. One of the applications I just put in was for a national account manager, consumer electronics and musical instruments. So national account manager is kind of where my sweet spot is I have a lot of experience with multinational Fortune 100, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 accounts. So that's the space I feel most comfortable with as far as my communication skills. Very comfortable speaking with C-suite executives or people that are high-profile celebrities, if you will. I've dealt with celebrities in the past. So I'm very comfortable with really dealing with a variety of people. I'm very collaborative, whether it's with small business, large business, collaborative with people, internal, third-party, vendors, making sure that we all work together to achieve the same mutual goal. Perfect.
So you know where you're going. So I don't think there's any confusion about that. And, you know, so maybe there's some, often we get, so when you say that you're making applications online, you're trying to get through the morass that is ATS, right?
Yes.
That often leads people to believe that they doubt they have the skills to get past a computer. You with me?
Yeah, I hear you.
So often, so then we're like, okay, well, I guess they don't see value in me. No, the computer algorithm did not see value in you. Okay.
Correct.
You still have value. It's just a matter of getting in front of the right people. So I would take that a step further. If you're having difficulty getting to the interview table, we have to take some extra steps using our own sales skills, right?
Another point that I wanted to bring up, I think it would benefit everybody, because of the automated system, which you have to make sure that you look at the application and make sure you have keywords that match the job description so you meet the criteria of the ATS, right?
Mm-hmm.
But someone was mentioning you can take it a step further. There's no reason why you couldn't submit an application directly to the hiring manager should you have the ability to find out who that is, right? So if you know who the talent manager is, the hiring manager, the person who is the human resource director that may be involved in this process,
Mm-hmm.
you can, take the extra step to not only put the application into the automated tool, but send them the application with a cover letter directly. And I hadn't thought about that before. I thought that was a good idea, just to get around, to not relying, if you will, on the ATS system.
Yes, I think that's an effective strategy if you're into reactive strategies. And so there's nothing wrong with what you're talking about. It's just a little more effective than blind application. I would encourage you to go a step further and identify companies, whether they have open positions or not, and see if you can have those same conversations about your passion for persuasive influence. Right?
I think I'm going to make a T-shirt that says, "I'm a persuasive influencer. Learn how."
Good.
Ask me what I can do for you.
Yeah. Well, you just, when you make that T-shirt, just put career happy hour on it or something.
Absolutely.
Hashtag career happy hour.
You got it. I have that commitment for you.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Craig. I got to move on. There's someone else in here, so I do appreciate you coming. That's Craig, everybody. Craig Clark. Connect with him on LinkedIn if you would. I'm sure he's in the chat. Craig, if you would, just go over to the LinkedIn chat or wherever you're at and, see if you can't offer your LinkedIn profile. Looks like we have Doug here too. Hopefully, Doug, you're ready and you've got your your LinkedIn thing that we're not going to get any feedback here. Doug, how are you, sir? Can you hear me? Sounds like we're not getting any audio. So, Doug, I can. There we are.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Okay,
Yeah, what's your question?
I muted myself. Well, a lot of the quality engineering jobs I'm applying for have very specific, they're looking for ISO, blah, 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 blah. I have no exposure to ISO anything. I'm wondering what the right strategy is. Should I go out and just, buy a book on it and read all the stuff I can, or I'm not sure exactly how to get past that hurdle, or if it is a hurdle in the first place. That makes sense?
So, Doug, yeah, absolutely, Doug. So that's a great question. What you've just identified is something that you may want to sharpen the saw on. However, I always encourage people to sharpen the saw based on market demand and then approach their network with how they perceive the value of that skill before I invest time, energy, and effort in obtaining it, right? Because ISO certifications and whatever can take, that's a lot of time, energy, and effort. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what I would suggest for you is, who do you know in your network that's got some ISO qualifications that you could ask that question?
Okay.
You with me? Now I have a reason to network with somebody that isn't about a job. It's about ISO certification. I'm working on a self-improvement project called ISO certification. I want to see what is the value for such things in the marketplace. And I can think of 2 or 3 people right off the bat that if you approached me and asked, I could introduce you to them.
Okay.
So that means if I have those people, guess what? Other people in your network probably have them too.
Okay.
So that's the answer to the direct question. There's always a question behind the question. How accurate do you think job descriptions are?
Well, from the article you sent out, you only have 50% of the qualifications in order to get the
right. And so we pick out one thing and say we're not qualified because we don't have ISO. And yeah, we could probably get some of that training in advance. So I'm just curious if that's one of the reasons why you're applying or not applying, or
I'll go ahead and applying. I'm just wondering, like the ATS system, if it's looking for that, and if it doesn't see that, it says, you're out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because it's a computer algorithm. I don't know how the company is using said algorithm. Do they have best practices set up inside their talent organization? We don't know any of those things. What we do know is our application is in their database. And so our work is just beginning. We now need to identify a person with a pulse inside that company so that we can have a dialogue about what? ISO certifications, best practices and quality, not job posting XYZ, not very strategic about talking about my need for employment. It's tactical.
Okay.
And it's not bad. It's just not as open arms and receptive as taking a softer approach on a topic, right? So what topic do you think you know more about than anybody else? Not that you're, being egotistical, but you have subject matter expertise, I can assure you.
Problem investigation and resolution.
So like root cause analysis?
Yeah, root cause analysis. But the whole process of getting that, working through that.
In what domain specifically? In what vertical do you enjoy doing that the most?
Product development.
Okay. So root cause analysis and product development for what kind of products?
The product itself doesn't really matter that much to me. I enjoy the process more than the product itself.
I get it. So this is how you focus your efforts, is to identify a product or an industry or a company that you'd like to execute that in. And now I can start identifying people that have the same passion for me for root cause analysis and product development at this company. Now I've got a person that I can have a conversation around what? My expertise. Not saying I'm an expert and I want a job. I'm an expert and I'd like to share best practices. Would you be open to that conversation?
Okay.
It's a low bar, right? And not everybody's going to say yes, but it's the approach that matters. It's not, hey, Johnny, I see you're a product developer and I applied for requisition 123. Can you help me get a job? And they may not even know you, right? They may not even know you, right, Doug?
Right.
So that's what I would advocate. Relationships. When relationships precede an application resume, you're at an advantage. Okay. Lonnie, looks like you're in the chat here too. I don't know. I don't see your camera on. I don't know if you want to come on live or not. What's the beta? Okay. So it looks like he joined live here. Says, what is the best way to reach up and grow your network? Did we answer your question, Doug? Do you feel satisfied with the answer there?
Yeah, I'm just processing it. So good, thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, you bet. Good luck. All right, everybody. So who else wants to come? I see Lonnie's on here, so I'll put his question in the thing here. What's the best way to reach up and grow your network? That's a good question. Reach up and grow your network. I think it starts with people you know. So, and you can certainly clarify if you want to come on, Lonnie. I don't see you on the video. But if you want to come on and have some coaching like you've just seen here today, it's free. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, you can come on. And I'm happy to answer your questions. If you have coaching questions, happy to do that. Okay. So what do I see here? Well, Lonnie has put up a question that says, what's the best way to reach up and grow your network? Start with the people you know. Get into a cadence. Build a list of companies and people you'd love to work for, or work with, I should say. Because a company at its root is just a group of people. And they're the ones making the decisions on your candidacy. That's how I would actually go to build and grow my network. Now there's other things you can do, like, hey, I'm just going to make a bunch of LinkedIn requests, but through that process, it shouldn't just be a request and acceptance. It should be request acceptance conversation. And then you can decide whether or not that person might make a short list to keep on your network list for long-term incubation. The research that I've seen suggests that the average time it takes to build a friend is about 50 hours. So if you have 50 hours, that's great. Not everybody does, but 50 hours is what it's going to take to build that friend. And having a group of trusted friends that are at target companies that just happen to be hiring managers is the objective. That's what I would really focus on there. So good to see everybody. Who else do we have here? We have some other questions. Another great Friday. Question. Thank you. Problem that I've learned this week is that it has been reached out to by recruiters, and I know that I have seen and feel like it will go nowhere. It's been true this week. Why has this been the case since before COVID to post COVID? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the job search is a roller coaster. Let's be honest. It's got its ups, its downs. It's got its good days. It's got its bad days. And the unfortunate thing is, if we're not in a position to have conversations with people in the operation, and all we're doing is reaching out to an algorithm in a computer, and recruiters, I'm not against recruiters. I just recognize that recruiters have a very difficult job. They have a lot of people they're working with, and I have to keep that in my mind and know that they're really the first step in a process, and they're very process driven in the talent acquisition HR world. It's all about process. And unless I have a strategic conversation, then that recruitment process becomes tactical in nature. So I would encourage you to do what you can to have conversations with real people inside the companies you'd love to work for, not because they have an open position, although that could happen. That is one way to get there. But determine why you want to work there outside of having a job for you. Okay. Yeah. Good to have you all back. Is there any other questions or any other people want to come on live? Happy to do that. I thought I saw Terry here. Happy Friday, Terry. Good to see you. And use the chat. Actually, use the chat to connect with people. So if you could, just put your LinkedIn profile address in the chat, because the funny thing about the chat is it doesn't show you who the person is that's on the stream. It'll have a number on LinkedIn, like 14 people on the stream or 20, whatever's up there, but you don't know who's on the stream. I'd really encourage you to put your LinkedIn profiles in the chat on LinkedIn or whatever platform you're on, and that you make a concerted effort to connect with each other and have a conversation. Okay. I know Terry would be open to that. He's done that for a lot of people. I'm not sure, Chelsea, if you've connected with anybody. Hey, Sally, good to see you. Hope you're well, safe, and sound during today's world. I know things can be challenging and rewarding at the same time. Sally is a good advocate friend. Good to see you. Good to be back. Yeah. So the other part of the process here every Friday, folks, is having an opportunity. Oh, good. Yeah, Terry, if you want to join, that's fine. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I'm just feeling this week that kids are back to school, people are homeschooling, the new normal is kind of continuing, and it's almost like we're wondering, when is it going to get back to something sane and regular? And I wonder that sometimes myself. Is that in my own head? If that makes sense. So Terry, if you want to come on, please, by all means, go ahead. I'm going to pop some of these people out here that we're already in, because maybe there's a limit. There might be a limit on the number of people we can have in the system. There we go. Now you're popped in. Okay. Terry.
Andrew.
My friend, I like your hoodie.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, it's almost cool enough here now that we can wear hoodies, I suppose.
Well, here at the Basement Lounge at Smith Casa, we have a very efficient system that operates all the time. So, yeah. And being that it's a basement lounge, it stays a little cooler than everywhere else.
Good. Well, so what's on your mind? What did you want to talk about today?
Nothing in particular. Just wanted to join the conversation. I have been having some interesting conversations with other folks over the course of the week. Craig and I had a nice conversation a couple days ago. Craig, if you're still on and listening, good to see you. And hope that, just to let you know, Craig, still trying to coordinate a conversation with my buddy. So I will keep you posted as to how that goes. Interesting conversation about recruiters. That was a kind of a thing for me early in the week, where I wound up talking to 4 or 5 different recruiters from nationwide, recruiting firms, Russell Reynolds and the Christopher Group and Spencer Stewart and groups like that. And, really interesting conversations. And you're right, Andrew, it's a feast or famine thing. It comes and goes. Nobody was sitting on top of any kind of like a really cool gig or anything like that. Although, as it developed, in the conversations, there were a couple of things that people said, well, now that I think about this and now that I think about your background and so forth, let me make a couple of calls type of thing. So, having been in that myself over, a long time ago, it's definitely a different kind of world. It's a different method for engaging with potential employers than, certainly anything else. So,
yeah. Are you talking then through recruitment firms?
Yeah.
Like retained search firms, that sort of thing?
Yep.
At the executive level? Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just a different process altogether. And
yeah, it's a very different animal. And yes, to your question, that's exactly what I'm doing. And mostly as a means, for me at least, of, as Steely Dan once said, covering every game in town, right? The idea that, there is an enormous amount of activity that occurs at the executive level through firms like that, and those are heavily networked. I mean, executives at major Fortune 500, Fortune 100, they know people at places like Russell Reynolds or, Challenger and Christmas or, those sort of well-known, entities. John Scully wound up at Apple way back in the day. Was through, personal contacts through recruiting firms. So, and having been in that business, I can tell you it's a very relationship-oriented world. So, for whatever that may be worth.
Yeah, good. Well, so did you have a question today? Something burning in your mind?
Not really, no. I think the piece that you led with at the top of the discussion around, resilience, if you will, that's a big deal, especially now, right? You and I are in the Portland metro area, so we've been living under the apocalyptic smoke of the last week and a half or so. And the good news is that we finally got some rain. We got a nice thunderstorm last night that dropped some rain on us, which has really helped. But that's one of several things that have occurred in the last 6 months, and it feels very oppressive right now because not only do we have, this coronavirus and, the social justice and the violence and the fires, and now hurricanes are starting to really have an influence in the Gulf Coast and that region. It seems like this is the year of challenge, right? More than any other. An economy that's in the tank right now that, and an extremely contentious political season on the horizon. Well, already here, really, and an enormous amount of uncertainty about how that will play out and the implications either way for how that plays out. So, you add all that up, and this is an incredibly challenging time frame, and so now, we have lots of thinking and punditry around resilience and around, staying tough and hanging in there and all that kind of thing, and, multiple people who have kids that are going to school but not going to school. And the list just keeps going on. And you can't even kind of break away from it because, hell, nobody's playing football except, if you're a football fan. Nobody at the college level is playing football. Basketball is all being played at Disney World, for crying out loud, which seems kind of ironic in a way. And so on and so on, so our diversions, we don't have golf tournaments that we can watch because nobody's playing golf, because it's that whole thing and so on, so if those are your diversions, you can't go to movies because you might get sick, right? You can't go to a wedding in Maine because you have a fairly good chance of getting coronavirus and dying, right? So, it's just on and on it goes, right? So, so the challenge, and I'm sorry to sound like a rant here, but the challenge of resilience is that, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of challenge to what could be, a natural level of resilience getting piled on and piled on and piled on, and so, So for those organizations that provide, what's the word I'm looking for? Shoot, I know that I should know this by heart, and I'm having a mental block. Well, for lack of a better phrase, call it, support services, mental health services.
Oh, right. Like EAP and stuff like that?
Thank you. Yes, exactly. For those of us who still may have access to an EAP or something like an EAP, or the EAP folks must be working 24/7 round the clock, right? Because there's plenty to do. So, sorry, that Zoom, big thing about resilience.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I've really been blessed with a short memory, because sometimes, we it's kind of like water off the back. If I keep hearing that things are bad, then I start believing things are bad. And then I really have to have a short memory about what's happening in the news. Not that we don't acknowledge that something's happening. We just don't internalize it.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard. That's a hard thing to do. I would also say that we're on equal footing with people who are working that way, is that they're seeing all these same things as well. They're seeing their friends and their family members dealing with these issues.
Right.
And I don't believe anybody's immune to the impact of what's happening.
No, I agree.
Which means if you know how to approach it, people really appreciate you reaching out just to make sure are you okay?
Yeah.
That you're not tone deaf to what's happening in the world, but you're also not going to allow it to stop you.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's it. And that's been one of my methods. And by the way, Teresa, thank you. The U.S. Open is playing on NBC right now, so that's good news. So thanks for clarifying that.
So does that mean you got to leave, Terry?
Well, yeah. At some point, I got to go check out what's happening on the 18th hole.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's you're absolutely right. You have to find ways to cope with that. Right. That's the bottom line.
Oh, great. And looks like John actually shared his LinkedIn profile. So thank you, John. I appreciate that. If you're in the chat, go ahead and share your LinkedIn profile as well, or leave a comment there. And it's fair game. Everybody here is open to conversation and connection. I would encourage you, get into LinkedIn, click on the chat, look at the people who are participating here and connect with them, have conversations. It's why we're here. Okay. Yeah. It's exactly why we're here. So, Terry, the other question I had specifically for you is, what do you feel is standing between you and success?
Great question. I'm not sure, but there does seem to be something there that is challenging. I don't know if it's my own perspective, could be. I like to think it's not, but I think it's a matter for me. It's a matter of I have kind of a narrow niche. I don't have, I'm not a programmer or a developer or, any of those kinds of things. So, the kind of work I do at the level I do it is kind of rare air. It's a lot of the kind of thing that you're describing, which is, really having conversations and engaging with people where there may not necessarily be, kind of an aha moment. Oh my gosh, yes, we need that person right away. It's something that you develop over time. That's how my career has evolved is, people looking at it going, here's what I need. And you just happen to be the right kind of person for that kind of role. In fact, I was having a conversation right before this with a colleague of mine who is an ex-Microsoft executive who's got his own startup company running and so forth. And we actually had a great conversation about, some potential opportunity that could exist there. And he said, you need to be sure that you don't lose sight of the fact that your niche is extremely unique. Not extremely, but it's unique in terms of organizational development. And it's an organizational need that not only exists, but will continue to grow over time particularly because of the, situation we're all in. So the task is to make the connection and to find the right people who understand that and, present what you can do in a way that they go, oh God, where's he been all our lives? So.
Okay.
Long answer to a short question.
Sure. Can I make an observation or offer a suggestion?
Please.
Stand for something to somebody. And by that, I mean, if we don't elevate our standing above a title or a domain or an understanding, then we're people are putting us in a box, whether we want to be or not.
Right.
And if that box is extremely narrow, people won't see you as anything other than what's in that box.
Right.
And that's a challenge. And that's something that needs to be curated and managed over time, repetitively, almost from your perspective, from a position of insane, right? It's over and over. It's not much different than Aflac, right? I don't know that anybody would say, when I say Aflac, what do you think of?
Right.
It's a stupid duck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when people see a stupid duck, they think Aflac. So that's the beauty of having a brand that you stand for.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? There was another observation I was going to make. Oh, this is it. What is the number one problem you solve in the marketplace?
That I have solved or that I do solve?
Just one. The number one problem you solve in the marketplace.
Leadership capacity.
Why is that a problem?
Because there's a volume of evidence that strongly suggests that we as a business society lack the capacity to lead people effectively and to help them succeed and help our businesses succeed.
Okay. How would you define effective leadership?
I would define effective leadership as people that come to work every day who say, I am so glad I work for this person because I am learning, I am growing, I am developing, and I am being as much the professional as I can possibly be.
Okay. Would they call that alive?
Sorry?
Alive?
Alive.
Versus, I don't know, atrophy.
I suppose, yeah.
Like an engaged, an organism that's actually thriving.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm sure there's a word for the opposite of atrophy, right? An antonym to atrophy. What is it?
I'll look that up.
But this is where we can say, okay, I build these kind of organizations or this kind of leadership capacity.
Right.
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 So I'm focused on building a leadership capacity. Wow, that sounds like something we need. Only we don't call it OD, we call it something else.
Right.
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 So sometimes we need to just go with the strength and the problem we solve, and people will translate or interpret that how they see fit, rather than trying to put words in their mouth that I'm an OD or HR, leadership, or whatever.
Right.
Now, whatever opportunities you choose to pursue is up to you.
Right.
I think you would have more opportunity, more beta, right? Beta opportunity if you focused on the problem you solve.
Right.
And then find people who have that problem, because they probably have certain symptoms, don't they?
Yes.
What are some symptoms of atrophied leadership?
Well, turnover is often characterized as one of them. You know, people leave leaders, they don't leave companies, they leave their bosses. So, you know, an organization that's dealing with a turnover issue, that's a potential root cause.
Could you make like a leadership checklist and say,
Sure.
So I'm doing a leadership checklist that measures the health of your leadership.
Yeah.
And it's a free thing, and I'm happy to walk through it with you, but I'm working on building a domain, or this is my project, my passion project, is to expand leadership capacity.
Right.
Now I'm having a conversation around my area of interest, passion, strategic, right? Not that you're not having those conversations, but as soon as we introduce our need for employment, that conversation or tenor thereof might change.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's something to be cautious of.
Absolutely. No, great observation. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, you know, I'm full of advice. If you want more of it, I'm happy to dish it out. But you know, we're here to support your success, Terry.
I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Any other things you want to share?
No, good for now.
Okay. Stay safe.
You too.
Hopefully you have a cold one or a glass of something over there.
Hey, it's you know, it's career cocktail hour at the
All right, Terry, be well.
You too. Thanks.
Take care. Good. Any other questions out there? Let's see. The Faith Institution is doing a lot of mindfulness, wellness, free online. Yeah. So that's part of sharpening the saw and staying fresh, right? Mentally and emotionally speaking. And Terry had some great input on engaging EAP. I know through at least the organization that I'm associated or affiliated with, they offer, they sent out actually, and they said, hey, if you have somebody in your circle that needs EAP, it's open to them too. So I think a lot of these EAP providers are offering some kind of an expanded access to people that aren't actually employees that have direct access to that benefit. So you might actually reach out to your former employer or to friends and family if you feel that's appropriate, and get engaged with some therapy discussions. Here's the thing. Therapy is, I'm not gonna presume that therapy is for everybody, but everybody can benefit from therapy. So that's and what we offer here is coaching. So that's a little bit different than therapy, because we are not equipped here to help people with issues of mental or emotional challenges. So that's something to think about is, if you had a dream team of people supporting you, it'd probably include a coach of some kind. It would probably include somebody that can help you with your physical, right? Like a trainer or a nutritionist. It might include a therapist, a counselor, somebody to help you with the emotional side of yourself. So we can always seek opportunities to sharpen our saw in each of those categories. So I do appreciate you coming here for a career happy hour. If you could please share this session with people in your network. It takes like 2 seconds to put click the share button and just share it with your network on LinkedIn. Happy to have this expand and grow so that we can get more people in the fold. Thank you, Doug. I will put your chat here in the regular chat. There we go. Doug Snell. Doug Snell, open to networking. Appreciate you. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. If you're out in the marketplace, make sure you wear your masks, I suppose, and distance as appropriate. And I hope to see you next Career Happy Hour. All right. Take care, everybody.